Coming up on today's Philadelphia Eagles now, we're going to preview this Week 5 game between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Los Angeles Rams as the Eagles hit the road for a cross-country trip. Speaking of that game, make sure you join us on Sunday for another watch party right here on Eagles Now. Our coverage begins with an hour pregame show at 3 o'clock Eastern, 12 o'clock Pacific. If you haven't ever watched our watch parties, it's the best place to experience the game outside of being at the actual game because Eagles fans from all across the world come together on one stream and we make it a party. So make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on those notifications. Therefore, when we do go live, you will be notified. So the stage is set, Week 5 at SoFi Stadium, right outside of Los Angeles. Kickoff is set for 4:05 p.m. Eastern, 1:05 for those of you out in California or on the West Coast. Philadelphia looking to push that record to a perfect 5-0. They're one of two teams still throughout the first month of the season, still undefeated. It's them and the San Francisco 49ers. The Los Angeles Rams, on the other hand, they were looked at as a team that was going to be tanking potentially for Caleb Williams, but throughout the first 4 games, 500 record at 2-2, and they impressed a lot of people. You segue to our Week 5 betting odds here. Make sure you sign up with our sportsbook partner, by the way. More on that in a moment. The Birds, 4.5-point favorites to begin the week here. The Rams, they've been feisty this year. Week 1 had a really good win against the Seattle Seahawks. They blow a massive lead against the Colts this past Sunday, and then they hold off to win in overtime. They can score a lot of points, and that's why the over-under here, the highest that it's been for an Eagles game this season at 50.5. So what does this line tell you, and what do the odds say? Why only 4.5-point favorites for the Eagles when they're the far superior and better team as compared to the Rams? Eagles secondary is banged up. They really struggled against the Commanders, giving up 31 points. The Rams can air it out. So their strength, because Matthew Stafford, 100% healthy right now, taps into the Philadelphia Eagles' weakness. Also, it's never easy for that cross-country travel. The Rams' path so far, first month of the season, they begin the 2023 campaign with one of the upsets of opening weekend. 30-13 victory on the road, hostile environment in Seattle. That took a lot of people by surprise because, again, a lot of people thought the Rams were going to be awful this year. Week 2, they lose to the San Francisco 49ers 30-23, but really that game closer on the scoreboard than what it really looked like during that matchup. Week 3, 3-point loss to the Cincinnati Bengals on Monday Night Football. And then in Week 4, an epic 29-23 win in overtime over the Indianapolis Colts. And it was a wild game in Indy. The Rams went up 23-0. And then Puka Nakua's 22-yard touchdown catch in overtime gave them that win. But they gave up a 23-0 lead. And the Colts were able to come back, led by Anthony Richardson and Shane Steichen. When I look at the Rams, I think this is a team that's better than we thought going into this year. Sean McVay obviously is a really good coach. The health of Matthew Stafford has stood out to me. The play of 2 young wide receivers, and Puka Nacua and Tutu Atwell, has been impressive. They really struggle to run the football. They're not great in the secondary, as we'll discuss, but this is a team that might hover around 500, and you win a clutch ball game here or there, and all of a sudden you might find yourself battling for a wild card spot. What the Rams want to do as a football team, given their identity and their roster, they want to pass the ball with Matthew Stafford. Kyren Williams, former Notre Dame back, is their running back because Cam Akers is out of the rotation, and he's a solid player, but like their strength, because they can't run block, is passing the ball. That elbow injury with Matthew Stafford looks to be in the rear view. The velocity is back. The deep ball is back, and Sean McVay has put his trust in him because they've aired it out a ton. Those 2 receivers, Nacua and Atwell, they've been great. Tyler Higbee just got a contract extension last Friday. He's a good option at that tight end position. And what they want to do defensively, push the pocket with Aaron Donald. Their defensive line is not great, but they are very, very solid when Aaron Donald is having his way. So that's the Rams' path and what they want to do. The Eagles' path, Week 1 win, 25-20 over New England. Week 2 over the Vikings, 34-28. Week 3 over the Bucs, 25-11. And then they edged the Washington Commanders in overtime, 34-31 in week 4 this past Sunday. What I like about the Eagles here so far on this schedule, they found a variety of ways to win. Every game has been different with a different identity, and championship teams, sometimes it's not ugly. You still get the win, and you win with different styles. I like how that's kind of the backbone throughout the first month for the Birds so far. What the Eagles want to do, what they want to establish, if the game can perfectly go their way, they want to insert their will, and they want to dominate each side of the line of scrimmage with their offensive line, best offensive line in football, and their defensive line, which I think overall talent-wise and depth is the best defensive line in football. And if they're able to dominate you at the line of scrimmage offensively and defensively, they take your will throughout the course of a 60-minute ball game, and they just wear you down to the point where you're fatigued and you can't hang with them. The Eagles also want to gash you with the pretty even approach that we've seen benefit Philadelphia this year when they're at their best. Run it with DeAndre Swift, pass it with Jalen Hurts, and that pass game really starting to get going. And then the Eagles, when they get out to early leads by throwing it, and then they run it, and you can't stop the run after you couldn't stop the pass to start the game. That's how the Eagles took the league by storm offensively in 2022, and we've seen signs, we've seen glimpses of them getting back to that form. So with that, we're asking for your predictions right now down below in the comment section. Don't you dare be scared to guess who wins. PHI for the Eagles, LAR for the Los Angeles Rams. My score prediction coming up here in just a moment. Our sportsbook partner is BetUS, and they're offering a 125% deposit bonus at chatsports.com/EaglesBet. Promo code Eagles125. You put in $100, you get $125 back. The Eagles, 4.5-point favorites. I like Philadelphia in the early going of this week to cover that 4.5-point line. I've gotten all of the wins and losses right so far this year. Let's try to get some more money on the spread. My keys to the game for the Eagles to get that record to 5-0 and to stay unbeaten. Stop that Rams passing attack. Matthew Stafford having a really good year. Puka Nacua, Tutu Atwell, two very good options. Tyler Higbee, certainly a dependable tight end. You stop that Rams passing attack, and they just don't look the same offensively because then they can't have that ability to run the football, and then they're kind of lost in translation. 4 starts for Stafford this year. He's completed 103 of 166 passes, a completion percentage of 62%, more than 1,200 yards, 3 touchdowns, 5 picks. So those 5 interceptions, remember that as we talk about what the Eagles have to do defensively here in a second. And then he's also been sacked 9 times. Not as bad as previous seasons with either Los Angeles or with the Detroit Lions, but still, the Eagles can take over this game and win that battle at the defensive line. The aforementioned Puka Nacua, he's come out of nowhere as a late-round rookie pick out of BYU. And in 4 games, he already has more than 500 receiving yards, 39 catches, average yards per catch of just under 13 and a touchdown. He really does look like Cooper Kupp and plays like him, and the Eagles can't afford for him to go wild. I'd like to see the Eagles press him a little bit to see if he can beat you off the line of scrimmage. Teams who play him soft, he's able to find that soft spot in the defense. Speaking of Cooper Kupp, as we pass along some injury news here on the Eagles front, Cam Jurgens week to week with the foot, most likely not going to play against the Rams. Britton Covey in concussion protocol. Philadelphia did sign Bradley Roby on Tuesday to fill the void in that secondary. So that's where things kind of stand on the Eagles injury front. Cooper Kupp injury update. Started the season on IR. Has not played yet because of this weird hamstring injury that's lingered. His 21-day practice window is opened this week. Has a chance to play Sunday against Philadelphia. Key to the game number 2. When you pressure Matthew Stafford, you'll have an opportunity to have a pick party. When the pocket gets muddied up and he starts to feel the ground beneath him quaking when Jalen Carter is coming through with an interior pass rush and Fletcher Cox is beating his man, Hassan Reddick coming off the edge, that's when Matthew Stafford and his vision gets diluted to a certain degree where he starts to panic and then he makes errant throws. This is his track record as a quarterback. Long sample size with Detroit, same thing with the Los Angeles Rams as well. I mean, he led the NFL in interceptions thrown even when the Rams won the Super Bowl a couple of years ago. So you pressure him, he panics, he'll throw a ball up for grabs, you win the turnover battle. Oftentimes, you're going to win about 70 to 80% of the games when you win that turnover battle. And where are the sacks for Philadelphia? Last year, they had 70. That was number one in the NFL. Right now, through 4 games, they only have 11. That's 17th in the NFL. So there's 70 in 2022, 15 more than the Chiefs, who are at number 2. The production as far as sacks go has not been there yet for Philadelphia this year. Can they break out against the Rams? What's also, too, Eagles fans are going to be taking over the joint at SoFi Stadium, basically making it a home-away-from-home game. Number 3, don't let Aaron Donald ruin your way along that offensive line. And when he ruins your way, he ruins your day. Aaron Donald is still a premier player in this league, a very special player who can cause destruction by himself. Jason Kelce against Aaron Donald. Sua Opeta now against Aaron Donald with Cam Jurgens not expected to play. Landon Dickerson against Aaron Donald. Shoot, he's lined up as a defensive end. He might go up against Lane Johnson and Jordan Mailata. They use him all across that line, and if he gets free, he could cause some havoc. Rams secondary is not great. So Jalen Hurts in every game this year, I think with the eye test, with the numbers, how he's looked, his comfortability, he's gotten better. And he's seeing the field a little bit better. He's adjusted to how defenses have adjusted to him, and it's been a game-by-game process. But you look at Hurts' passing production by matchup this year, and you see how it's increased every single game so far this year. And with this Rams secondary, you can find holes in that secondary to attack it. Big day for A.J. Brown, big day for Devontae Smith, big day for Dallas Goedert. It could happen. And with that, we segue to this. Which offensive weapon goes off? You know, in each game this year, outside of week 1, you've had a different player have a really good performance. Week 2, Devontae Smith over 100 yards. Last 2 weeks, 3 and 4, A.J. Brown over 100 yards, as he was Emmanuel Forbes' daddy. And then in week 5, who's going to be that player? Is it going to be Brown? Is it going to be Smith? Is it going to be Dallas Goedert? Is it going to be Olamide Zaccheaus? We'll see how the Eagles can get it cranked up with their aerial attack. So predict the score. Eagles-Rams. I asked you earlier who you think is going to win. I think the Philadelphia Eagles cover this 4.5-point line, and I think this offense takes yet another stride. They're averaging just under 30 points per game this year. That's number 5 in the NFL. I think they score more than 30 in this ball game on Sunday. They pick up win number 5, and the E-A-G-L-E-S Eagles win 35-29 at SoFi Stadium, where there is going to be so much midnight green and so much Kelly green that Matthew Stafford might have to have a silent count.